Hello.
Hi, evening. Hi, we waiting for everyone else to come on.
Awesome. I'm here waiting for everybody. They should be joining us shortly in about 4 minutes.
Yes, you'll probably be coming on in a minute.
Awesome. I'm here.
Hello, very pleasant good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Evening.
How do I mute and unmute myself? How do I go back on?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Luke.
Hello.
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 Hi.
Okay, now that we're down to 7 planning and land use committee meetings, it looks like we do have a quorum of 4 present, so we'll go ahead and start the meeting. Okay, calling our meeting to order. Our June 27th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting at 6:33 p.m. Madge Nixon is not able to be here, so I'll kind of do double duty with the roll call and the brief minutes. Rosalie Preston, present. Ray Kusunoki,
Present.
Craig Kusunoki,
Present.
present. Okay. Arby Powell,
Present.
Arby, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, yes, I did say present. I'm sorry. Oh, can't you hear me?
And Lou Watson,
Here.
that's strange. Can everyone hear me? But I don't hear anyone, even though your microphones are unmuted.
Yeah, I can hear you.
And I can hear RV and Lou.
Hmm.
I can hear you too.
I could hear you.
Yep.
Bell
Mike
here. I
said-
can hear you also, Rosie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me stop the recording and see if I can figure out what's going on. Okay, so we'll go ahead with general public comment. Are there any stakeholders present who wish to speak on an item that is not on our agenda? You can, if any stakeholder wishes to speak on an item under general public comment not on the agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the May 23rd committee meeting. Is there any,
I approved it for May 23rd.
you're making a motion? Okay.
I
Yes,
second
make it,
And is
Is
that Craig seconding?
I second the motion.
Okay. Okay, so roll call. Rosalie Preston, yes. Craig Kusunoki,
Yes,
RV Powell,
yes.
Louetta Watson. Yes. Okay, minutes passed. Thank you. Okay, moving on to presentation from BM Scan on their City of Los Angeles license application for cannabis retail at 11500 South Vermont Avenue. Department of Cannabis Regulation record number LA-R-24-31065-ANN, which is Council District 8 and the Harbor Gateway North District 6, with a possible recommendation to the board. So I believe that Petrosan Baje is a representative, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm promoting you to panelist. And then Culture LA.
And MS as well.
Okay. Okay, the three of you should be the panelists, so do you want to give some background on your application, the hours of operation, and explain how the community meeting and the public hearing have already taken place?
Yeah, so I have a little write-up put together that I'll go through and it touches up on that stuff. And we're able to answer any questions that you guys may have. Is the floor ours?
Yes.
All right, beautiful. So yeah, once again, my name is Mike Sagian, the business licensing consultant. I'm joined by Vahe Petrosian, who's the business owner, and we also have Brandon Mendiola, the store's manager. We're located at 11500 South Vermont Avenue, which is on the corner of West 115th Street. We are a fully licensed cannabis retail business, which has passed inspections from all required agencies. On June 6th, the Los Angeles Cannabis Regulation Commission unanimously voted to approve our permanent annual license. Our store hours are from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. We have 24-hour security personnel in addition to our state-of-the-art alarm system and surveillance system. The entire premises and its exterior has 24/7 video coverage, and the footage is stored for at least 90 days. And at all times, our security will ensure that there are no loiterers or anyone consuming cannabis around the property. We have our own parking lot, so staff and customers won't need to use street parking. We also have a dedicated maintenance manager who goes above and beyond to make sure that the property and its adjacent areas are free of litter and graffiti. We have strict procedures for ID checks, so please be rest assured that minors will never be let into our business. All products which are sold at our store have gone through rigorous testing and packaging requirements. So in other words, we only sell clean products that won't harm the consumer. Also, all cannabis that is at our store is sealed airtight and pre-packaged in order to prevent product deterioration and odors. We perform strict compliance checks on all facets of the business, such as security training, employee training, and inventory reconciliation, just to name some. And we are happy to let you guys know that we have never had any sort of security breach, any sort of complaint, or any negative incidents at all. In the community meeting and the commission meetings that DCR held, there was only positive feedback. And we are looking forward to a long-term relationship with all of our neighbors and the council. We look forward to participating in any food drives or toy drives, which the council will conduct this upcoming holiday season. And as time goes on, we will surely engage in as much volunteer and charity work as possible. And I've also shared Vahe's contact information with Rosalie in case anyone ever needs to get in touch with them for any reason at all. And yeah, that is the presentation. If you guys have any questions, we're here to answer them.
Yes, I have a question. You said you've been endorsed by all the agencies and what the city council had approved also?
It's the Department of Cannabis Regulation that approves.
Oh, yeah, Department of Cannabis Regulation. And so when did you put your, well, no, I shouldn't, well, you had it in.
So
But
I just want to clarify that VM Scan through Michael Stagian contacted us through email on May 22nd. And per the Department of Cannabis Regulation, we and the community are supposed to have 20-day notice. So we did not have 20-day notice. And the community hearing was held on May the 30th, which was by Zoom. So some people could have participated. Written comment was supposed to be submitted by that date. And when I walked the neighborhood the other day, no one that I talked to had received a written notice. All the residents within 500 feet are supposed to receive written notice of the meetings. And then the public hearing was held on June the 6th.
So yeah, Rosalie, these are items you can bring up with DCR, but I know that DCR is very on top of sending out the notices in a timely manner. And I'm sure they have proof of exactly what day they mailed out their notices, but the noticing is not a responsibility of the applicant. It's something that DCR handles, the Department of Cannabis Regulation. And as soon as we received the notice of complete application, the cannabis requirement is that we need to reach out to the local neighborhood council within 10 days of us receiving that notice. And we definitely reached out to you well prior to that 10-day grace period that they give.
Okay, well, we will be putting all this in our letter because that's not what it says on their website. So they need to clarify, and on the website, it looks like you're supposed to do the notification. So all that needs to be clarified before the license renewal next year.
Yeah, so DCR sends out the noticing. So if you guys have issues with not receiving them, that's something that you're going to have to take up with DCR. But
Although
once
that's not
again,
what it says on their website, but Okay, so we will raise those issues in the letter to them, so.
Yeah, not a problem. I could send a group email with you and Michelle Garakian, who's the executive director of the Department of Cannabis Regulation, as well as Jason Colleen, who's the assistant executive director, and they could let you know that when they exactly sent the notices.
I like it. So, yeah. I'm gonna try to hear those stories. Yeah, you bet.
Okay, so go ahead, Arby. Did you have some other questions?
Well, I think you went over what I had a question about, the time, with the timeline of us being notified
Right.
and the residents had known about the notification they'll be opening and all that, and also, yeah, so you answered the question.
And just to clarify, they've been open for over a year with their state license because they are required to have both a state license and then apply for the LA City license, which they've just done. Okay, Lou, did you?
Yes, did you say that this hearing has already been held?
Yes,
Was it approved?
yes. On June the 6th. So that will be reflected in our draft letter. Okay, did anyone else have questions? Were there any members of our stakeholders who live nearby? I don't think so.
I'm
Let's
pulling
see.
up-
Is
This is-
that Angela on the Samsung? Is that you on the Samsung? Or is that me?
That was me.
It's you, Angela?
It's me.
Okay, I'm gonna add you into our panelists. Okay, so any further questions or comments before we move on?
Rosalie, this is Mike Sagian again. So
Yeah.
I just pulled up the DCR staff report for our record, which you guys can access as well through their website. If you go to the
Yes, I did.
if you go to the commission's
I
page.
have it.
So if you pull up if you click the link that's on the agenda which is linked to our record number, it'll pull up like a 45-page Google Drive document. And on page 2 of that document, it says on or about May 12th, 2024, DCR provided notice of the community meeting and Cannabis Regulation Commission meeting by mail to the owners and occupants of all property within 700 feet of the property line of the business premises. Notice was also provided to the nearest neighborhood council, business improvement district, and council office.
Okay, well, but that's not, it didn't happen, but they can say that, but we're gonna comment in our letter that something
Sure,
happened.
but I just want to let you know that this is not an oversight on our end or something that you guys may think we needed to do. This is solely on DCR, and according to them, they've done it. So if there's an issue, I
alright.
could get you in touch with them.
Right, well, we'll be writing our letter to let them know, the process is faulty and for next year it needs to be improved, and neighborhood councils need a lot more notice also than May the 12th, if the hearing is, we have to have at least 2 months really to get through our process, but in any case, thank you for clarifying.
Of course.
Okay, let's see. So Lou, did you have any further comment or question? Okay. Okay, so at this point, we'll just move on to, since we have people here from our other issue, and then we'll come back later in the meeting to review a potential draft letter to the Department of Cannabis Regulation.
So Rosalie, do you need us to hang on the Zoom
No,
call?
that's fine. No, thank you very much for coming.
All right. Thank you so much for having us, and we'll be in touch.
Oh, and one other thing, you mentioned that you'd given a contact number, but I'm not aware of that, so.
Yeah, I've sent it to you a couple times. I sent it to you again earlier this afternoon. In an email you received from me, there should be 2 PDFs. One of them is Vahe's contact info on there.
Okay, all right,
And-
we'll share that with
And I also included the cannabis regulations decision letter of their unanimous vote for approval.
Okay, all right, thanks a lot.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so item number 5 is a possible revised comment letter on the Rexford Warehouse Office Building at 14400 South Figueroa Street, Depart in LA City, and 400 to 422 West Rosecrans Boulevard, which is the LA County portion, and we have their case number on the agenda. So let me see if I can screen share a revised draft that I prepared. We submitted a draft letter to our full board at the special board meeting held on June 4th. And meanwhile, Rexford Industries had submitted a comment letter trying to clarify some issues that we'd raised. So this version has some clarifications, and let's see if I can. Okay, can people see the screen share? Okay. So the addition is the third paragraph where we added in. We do also note that Rexford Industries reached out to us regarding this project and presented at our April 25th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting, and also attended our June 4th special board meeting with some additional clarifications about the project.
Excuse me, Rosalie, the letter is not on the screen.
You can't see it?
I can't.
We just see your
No.
file system. We just see the files. We don't see the letter.
No,
Oh,
no letter.
yeah, thought I opened it.
Double click it.
Mm. Now, does it still show the files?
Yep, it's still showing the files.
I have the letter open, but let me see if I can get it onto my desktop somehow. Can you see it now?
No.
I don't know. I guess it's this new laptop. I don't know what the issue is. Okay. So let me just read it out. So it's basically on July 9th, our board voted XXX to send this comment letter on the Rexford Industries facade improvements to the office space at 14400 South Figueroa Street, City of Los Angeles, and the renovation for a truck storage / warehouse at 400 to 422 West Rosecrans Avenue, which is in the unincorporated LA County, West Rancho Dominguez, Victoria Community Standards District, and Green Zones District. So the project it falls in 2 different jurisdictions. We appreciate and support Rexford Industrial's efforts to upgrade the exterior of the office space 14400 South Figueroa Street, which is within the boundaries of the City of Los Angeles and the Harbor Gateway Community Plan. It faces onto the industrial corridor along Figueroa Street, which covers both sides of Figueroa Street from 149th Street to El Segundo Boulevard and the west side of Figueroa Street from 149th Street south to the 91 freeway. The 4 new trees, additional landscaping, and improved facade will definitely upgrade the property on the Figueroa Street side and elevate the appearance of this section of the industrial corridor. We do also note that Rexford Industries reached out to us regarding this project and presented at our April 25th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting, and also attended our June 4th special board meeting with some additional clarifications about the project. The property containing the future warehouse space with 31 truck docks is located in the Rancho Dominguez Victoria Standards District of the unincorporated LA County area, just to the east of the City of Los Angeles boundary line. Since the creation of the truck storage/warehouse part of the project is under the authority of the Los Angeles County Regional Planning Commission, we can only comment on certain aspects of the project for the record. Our concerns for the truck storage/warehouse part of the project in the unincorporated Los Angeles County area include: 1, potential noise impact on residential uses, particularly at night, from loading, unloading related to, activities on the southeast side of the property, which is less than 300 feet from homes at Figueroa Street and 146th Street, and less than 400 feet from homes on Denver and 144th Street. A bare minimum sound review was conducted while a full review should have been performed. Number 2, although the project reduces the size of the previous buildings on site and previous potential number of daily truck trips, there will still remain an air pollution impact to residential uses, in other words, homes on the south side of Rosecrans Avenue between the 110 Harbor Freeway and Figueroa Street, from the 96 daily truck trips going to the warehouse and exiting from the warehouse to enter the 110 Harbor Freeway. Number 3, potential traffic impacts of trucks leaving the warehouse and turning west over the eastbound lanes of Rosecrans Boulevard, even with the existing two-way left turn lane on Rosecrans Avenue. So we were deleting the last sentence that we had, which was a professional traffic study was not carried out, as Rexford indicated at the June 4th special board meeting that there was a traffic study. Number 4, lack of air conditioning in the renovated warehouse building. Representatives for Rexford Industries indicated during their presentation to the HGNC Planning and Land Use Committee on April 25th that air conditioning was not needed as the site is located in the coastal zone that does not see high temperatures as compared to warehouses located in the Inland Empire, for example, and that ceiling fans would be adequate for overly hot days. And then we added in, there will also be 60 vented skylights that when open will produce additional airflow. However, with the impact of global warming, our neighborhood is seeing many more high 90s and 100-degree temperatures. Ceiling fans alone are unlikely to be able to cool the interior of the warehouse to below 87 degrees, per the recently adopted Cal OSHA standards for indoor air temperatures. It would seem prudent to plan for the future by installing a heat pump heating cooling system with solar panels so that the building is ready to provide proper cooling for days of higher temperatures in the future. So those are our 4 points. Let's see. We would also like to point out that there needs to be a more formal means of communication and coordination between the Los Angeles County Department of Regional Planning and the City of Los Angeles for areas where the two jurisdictions share boundaries, particularly where development in the County of Los Angeles impacts residents on the west side of Figueroa Street. For example, we would have liked to receive notification of this project last year when the application was first filed. And last paragraph, I believe. Additionally, one of our goals is to see higher quality usages for the industrial facilities that line our Figueroa corridor, as opposed to warehousing that involves large truck traffic and is considered a heavier industrial use. for the Cal Enviro Screen 4.0, all of the Harbor Gateway North areas along Figueroa up to 120th Street in the Harbor Gateway Community Plan area meet the criteria of being disadvantaged communities. With that in mind, the Harbor Gateway Community Plan update recommends encouraging green sustainable industries that bolster the economic base and provide high skill and high wage job opportunities for local residents. The updated community plan also calls for the transition of industrial land uses from heavier industrial uses to lighter industrial uses in close proximity to residential neighborhoods to minimize the negative environmental and visual impacts to the community. Now, going back to point number yeah, I thought there was some other language before relating to the hours of operation because of we had understood previously that it was 24-hour operation. And at our June 4th special board meeting, Rexford Industries said that it wasn't 24-hour, but actually even after 6 o'clock at night, it's my understanding that trucks can still come and go, but that there's certain activities, and this is where Rexford can clarify again, that are still going to occur in the outdoor area relating to loading and unloading. So I think that's what we want to clarify and make sure that's clear in our letter. And also, since there will be trucks coming and going potentially after 6 p.m., there's something where instead of the trucks having the beeper when they're backing up, there's some other method that they can signal they're backing up, but it doesn't make as loud a noise that may travel. So at this point, I don't understand my issues with screen sharing, but on this laptop, but if we can have people raise their hands if they want to make comment. Okay, Lou Watson.
Okay, I'm quite concerned with this development. And I want us to be very careful with anything we seemingly approve as far as they're concerned. And my request is this: by all means, I would like Harbor Gateway North to send copies of both of Rexford's letters, plus our Harbor Gateway North Neighborhood Council. I want a copy to go to Cal OSHA, to the Department of Justice, Environmental Justice Unit, to California Attorney General, attention the Department of Justice, and to the DA's office, attention Environmental Justice Unit. There is something not quite right here, and I think there are environmental issues that they're skating around, especially with the air conditioning and not fully explaining to us what they will be doing, what hours they will be doing this outdoor work. So I am very concerned, and I want these environmental watchdogs to be aware of what this business is potentially trying to foster on the stakeholders in the area.
So I found the original draft letter that we presented on June the 4th, and it was in item number 1. So it had, right at the end, it mentioned in light of the 24/7 operation, which Rexford said it wouldn't be 24-hour, but actually there can be trucks coming and going. So if Rexford wants to clarify that aspect.
Yeah, this is Brian
Hi.
with Brian Garcia with Rexford Industrial. The green zone doesn't allow loading exterior yard loading and unloading, so we can't have forklifts and stuff going into trucks, but we can load directly from the warehouse into the trucks. So that's the nuance difference. So they consider the unloading with like forklifts out in the yard sort of outdoor activity, but loading from the warehouse into trucks is not considered outdoor. So we have hours of limitations on outdoor activity, but we can load directly into the trucks from the warehouse and unload.
Okay. So a truck, but then trucks could also come after 6 p.m.
Yeah,
and
yes.
then they could be unloaded at the docks.
At the dock.
Mm-hmm. But it's not forklifts running around in the parking lot, is that what it is?
Correct, correct. It's sort of a nuanced thing, and I know it's a little bit confusing.
Right.
It was
Okay.
confusing for me at the beginning also.
All right. Okay.
And
Okay.
this is
Yeah.
for this is per the green zone, LA County's green zone
Right.
ordinance.
So Stephen Masura. Looks like Stephen wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was going to unmute there, so it's taking a second. Yeah, I'm Steve Masur with Rexford. I also want to just clarify that this is a speculative development. We're just trying to upgrade the property and do the improvements that we talked about before. And so since it's speculative, we don't have a tenant or even a planned tenant for this site, because it could be anything from manufacturing to warehouse in theory, but it is likely to be more like a warehouse. Therefore, we understand your concerns. If there's truck noise at night, first of all, since it's a spec building, we don't know if the business that our tenant that moves in would even be operating 24 hours. And if they are, we do believe that given the distances and the buildings in between and the ambient sound from the various roadways near all the residential, unfortunately, that residential impacted by all that ambient noise because there's a lot of, heavy roadways near there and the freeway. But that said, we don't think that there's going to be a noticeable impact from the noise, even if there was some operation at night, which we think is going to be minimal, if there is any at all. It'll be very minimal, and it's not likely to be heard. Now, you have a different opinion of that, and you guys can comment on that as needed, but we do believe that it's not going to be that very impactful. And if it is, you have the option of calling code enforcement, and if they determine that it is a nuisance and is violating some condition or code, that we could have the conditional use permit, because this is a conditional use permit that has to be done through the county because of the green zone. That conditional use permit can be reconsidered to modify the conditions, to change something to reduce that noise impact. So we understand that, and as you know, we're long-term owners, and we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to hold this for the long term, like we do all of our properties, and we want to be good neighbors, and we want to make sure that that is the case. And that we have our own internal property management who will communicate with the tenants if there's issues. Hopefully we can resolve that without having to do a CUP change. We would try to resolve it with the tenant. But if we can't, then there is that option to go for the modification of the conditions permit. So I just want to clarify that to make sure you guys understand that there are some options going forward once a business isn't there, if there are issues. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or Lou?
No, when do we talk about these copies that I've asked for to be sent to these environmental, oversight, agencies?
Well, we can add them to our list of who our letter's going to. And Santos, I believe you're one of the residents across the street on Figueroa or on the west side of, did you have a comment?
Yes, I'm the third house in right across that building. And I'm very concerned about that noise of trucks, going in and out at night. And I know there one of them said that it's gonna be loading inside the building, not outside. But sometimes, that doesn't happen. They will get out of hand and eventually they're gonna be loading and unloading with those I'll say
The forklifts.
yeah.
So this is John Meyer. I'm working with Rexford on this project. One thing I'd just like to point out about your concern regarding trucks entering and exiting the site causing noise. The way that the site is currently arranged allows for trucks to enter off of Figueroa, which I presume is near your home. But the way that we are rearranging the site, all truck access will be from the Rosecrans side of the property, which is, much further away from where your home is. It keeps the trucks further away from the bulk of the residential area, and it provides a more simple ingress and egress from the freeway, as they can just kind of come off of Rosecrans, go into the site, go back onto the freeway off of Rosecrans.
Okay. What about that waste management?
Well, that's another issue that will be taken up. We're going to try to have a community meeting about that later this summer. It'll hopefully be
Okay.
held at the Rosecrans Park area. Yeah.
Yeah, because I could hear the loaders backing up at 3 o'clock in the morning when they're loading and unloading. That's why I'm very worried about this building closer to me on 146. But okay.
Okay. Yes. Thank you for making that comment. Okay. Any last questions or comments?
Rosalie, this is Brian from Rexford. Just want to thank you for allowing us to have a forum with you guys and be able to have a conversation. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you for attending again and clarifying some of the issues. Okay, so do we want to just finish with the last summary on the other planning and land use issues and then come back to the draft? There's a draft letter on the VM scan that we could present to the board, and then we can decide if we want to have a revised draft of the letter on Rexford or not. Lou, did you have any last comment?
Yes, I would like for us to redraft our letter and take another look at what we have here because of the concerns about this unloading and loading at night.
Okay, so we could go with what I read out, but add in those other agencies to copy the letter to, and then under item number 1 about the noise impact, we would refer to the unloading and loading at the docks that would be allowed after 6 p.m. and that there, that we have concern about noise that could be generated and that would be that would impact the residents on the west side of Figueroa. Does that sound acceptable?
Yes, it does. Do you have contact information for these oversight agencies? Because
Right, we can provide that later. I've made a kind of a list and then I can clarify those with you later, so.
because the Environmental Justice Committee does have those.
Okay. And then, so does someone want to make a motion that we will recommend a revised letter to the board with the addition of the comments in item 1 about the loading and unloading after 6 p.m.?
I'll make a motion.
Is that Janisha?
No, it's Angie.
Angie, okay, thank you.
I second the motion that we revised our letter, or recommend to the board that we revise the letter.
Okay, so let me do the roll call. Rosalie, yes. Craig Kusunoki,
Yes.
Arvie Powell,
Yes.
Janisha Robinson,
Yes.
Angela Springs,
Yes.
and Louetta Watson.
Yes.
Okay, so we will send this revised letter for the board to consider at the July 9th board meeting. Okay, well, do we want to go back then? I'll just read out a draft letter that I prepared on the V-Scan. So this would be addressed to Michelle Garakian, the Executive Director of the Department of Cannabis Regulation. Dear Ms. Garakian, on July 9th, our board voted XXX to send this comment letter on the City of Los Angeles license approval for V-Scan 11500 South Vermont Avenue, Los Angeles, California 90044, and their license application number. This retail cannabis location is within the South Los Angeles Community Plan area and has proposed to operate as a Type 10 retailer storefront. They are doing business under the name Culture Dispensary. Second paragraph, per current City of Los Angeles requirements for retail cannabis applications, BM Scan Inc. through their assigned agent, Michael Zagian, emailed the chairperson and secretary of the Neighborhood Council on May 22nd to notify us of their application. However, per the current requirements of the City of Los Angeles as listed on the Department of Cannabis Regulation website, the owners and occupants of all property within 500 feet of the property line of the lot on which the subject business premises is located. For the purpose of notification of property owners, the last known name and address of owners is shown on the records of the city engineer or the records of the county assessor shall be used. For occupants, the notice shall be addressed to occupant and mailed to all property addresses within the 500-foot radius. This notice is to be mailed no less than 20 days prior to the date of any community meeting, as required by LA Municipal Code Section 104.04, and no less than 20 days prior to the date of any Cannabis Regulation Commission meeting, as required by LA Municipal Code Section 104.06. The certified neighborhood council serving the area is to be emailed, which we assume should have the same 20-day notice, but it wasn't quite clear on their website. We later realized that the community meeting was set for May 30th, so we only received 8 days' notice from VScan and from a survey of nearby residents living on the 800 block of West 115th Street and homes along Menlo Avenue between Imperial Highway and the 105 freeway. None received any mailed notice. Next paragraph. We responded to Mr. Zagian via email on May the 23rd, asking when the city hearing would be held and letting him know that our Planning and Land Use Committee meeting would be held that night via Zoom teleconference, or else there would be a special board meeting on June 4th via Zoom. He said that no one was able to attend the May 23rd meeting to speak under general public comment due to the short notice. In the end, he attended the June 4th special board meeting and spoke under general public comment. At no time did he indicate that the community meeting was set for May 30th and the public hearing for June 6th. Per Department of Cannabis Regulation requirements, all written comment on the application needed to be submitted before the community meeting date. It was not until preparations were being made to put the issue on the June 27th Planning and Land Use Committee meeting agenda that we saw that the dates for the May 30th community meeting and the June 6th public hearing had already passed. Next paragraph. Therefore, we are submitting this comment letter on the future need for notice to the neighborhood council. Mailed notice is required no less than, well, I repeat the 20-day notice, but it should be 60 days. 60 days prior to the date of any community meeting, as required by LA Municipal Code 104.04, at least 60 days in advance via email and US mail to our address of record, so that we can make certain that our stakeholders have notice, and also so that our Planning and Land Use Committee can schedule a meeting on the application and make a recommendation for a full board to vote on. Last paragraph. In talking with residents and a former tenant of 11500 South Vermont Avenue, there seems to have been no issues with the operation because they were, and I should put that in, they were open for a year in advance after their California state license was received. There are no issues with operation of the retail cannabis site since receiving their state license from the Department of Cannabis Control, except that their customers and staff seem to take up a lot of the parking spaces to the east of the building, therefore making it difficult for other tenants of the building to have adequate parking in that lot. And then it would be signed by our chairperson, and copies would go to council member Marquise Harris Dawson, his economic development deputy, Albie Del Valle, Laura Garcia, the field deputy, Jocelyn Dominguez, the mayor's representative, and Michael Sagian, the consultant that is representing VM Scan. So any other suggestions? I did email the senior lead officer for the area, Robert Martinez, and he responded that he was unaware of any police incidents with the location. But because of the parking issue, the tenant who ran a nonprofit in the building, she moved out to a location in Compton, actually just east of us, in the 500 block of Rosecrans. So any other suggestions for the comment letter? Or, you know, the Department of Cannabis Regulation is continually upgrading their processes for approval, and now there will be a yearly license review. So if we notice anything or hear anything from residents, you know, we can hopefully get better notice next time. And I noticed that on the letter, or it was the approval letter, but on that hearing date, the department must have heard about 20 different licenses, including one for a cannabis retail in San Pedro, also Harbor Gateway South, and others around the city. So I wonder if the relicensing will be exactly at this time next year. So that would give us a little feeling, you know, for when to look out for it.
Yeah. Also, Rosalie, I was just thinking about it. They have another, I don't think it's a legal one over there, not too far across Imperial, going further west on Imperial. It's across the street from the gas station. It's like maybe not even 800 feet away.
But see, that's in LA County, so.
Oh, so it wouldn't matter.
The city does not consider those, I don't think, because the way the city has it set up, retail cannabis, they assigned so many slots for each community plan area. And this one is in the South LA community plan area, and it's based on population, and that population is a lot higher than in the Harbor Gateway community plan. So, because in Harbor Gateway, especially in Harbor Gateway South, there's so much industrial space that there's a lot less residential in the plan areas. So Harbor Gateway has very few slots, and most, except for the one on Rosecrans, they're all in the Harbor Gateway South area. But in the South LA area, there's a lot more slots, so there was room for this one to go in. And I think when you look at the regulations on their website, there is something about they can't be more than so many feet apart, but I don't know if that just applies within the city or if they would consider the one in the county. The other issue is that there, some of the residents expressed to me that they wished it wasn't located there because, you know, it's right next to their residential neighborhood. But under the Department of Cannabis Regulation, and maybe that's something we should add in the letter, is the sensitive uses that they can't be close to only include schools and daycare and like rehab places, but not residential, which normally when you say that use the term sensitive uses, it includes residential, but not for cannabis regulation. And I did have our technical advisor double check the distance from Washington Primary Center, which is located at 112th in Vermont, but it's a little over about 750 feet away, and so it meets the requirement. It would have to be within 700 feet to not be allowed in that location. So if we add in our requests that in future they consider sensitive use to be residential, should we do that? And then did we recommend this comment letter to our board then?
I have my hand up.
Okay, sorry, I'm not looking at that screen.
Okay. I have a problem with this, and especially because this is a fait accompli. So the letter has set forth our objections and our strong concerns about the lack of notice and all of that. So us supporting this, to me.
Well, we're not supporting it. This is a comment letter basically on the whole notification process.
All right, because I was gonna say we should not make a recommendation on this because it's fruitless and pointless. They've taken it out of our hands. So,
Right. So it's just the recommendation to the board is just that the board adopt this comment letter, which is really only about the whole process and the notification aspect.
Also, don't they supposed to have what, you know, a rehab place, and they really didn't go over and talk about the police station. They let them know. They just
That's for I believe the other type of cannabis, the public
okay.
convenience and there's two types. The public convenience and necessity, which is what that Camtasia wanted to do, get through on that. But this one is going through under there. This one is not anything to do with social equity. There was a slot left in the South LA community plan area and they just applied for that slot. So
Okay.
they have to consult with the police or anything, no.
Okay. So
Yeah,
they just
see, that's the other thing. We're learning all these rules relating to the cannabis operations. And then of course there's all different ones for the ones like on Rosecrans that has and also the one on Estrella that has, where they're growing and processing it. There's different regulations for those than for the retail. So Lou, did you have another comment?
with all the revenue they're coming in and making, I wonder is there gonna how much is gonna be contributed to for the city services and everything, and, you know, the streets and all that, maintaining.
You know, they're not really an issue because the people who come there are in vehicles. There's an issue at that location because there's a parcel of land, or a number of parcels actually, that are right along the north side exit of the 105 freeway, where the same man who bought the property down in the Merritt Track bought that land from Caltrans. I'm not sure if he still owns it, but you know, it had become, he had wanted to build all these condos there, and the city blocked that because it was right next to the off-ramp. But then it became a big homeless encampment, you know, about 4 years ago. So the city cleared it out, but instead the owner is leasing the property to trucks. So it's truck parking. And the trucks, a lot of them come down. There's a small alley running north and south, so it's just to the east of Vermont Avenue, and they come in from Imperial Highway through that alley, and they're tearing up that alley. So the residents are really concerned about that too. So we have to work with Councilmember Harris Dawson's office on that issue, because you know, something has to be there on that lot so that the homeless aren't there, but you know, having the truck parking is a big issue, because then the trucks roll right over that parking lot that the cannabis customers are using, and anyone else who's leasing space in the building. That parking lot is, I mean, it wasn't in great shape anyway, but it's all torn up. So Lou, did you have any final comment?
No, is my hand up?
Yeah, it's still up. So do we want to then send this comment, which is really on the process and the notification, and then, you know, we'll, as we did before on Camtasia, that department is pretty good at eventually sending a response and, you know, listening to our concern. So
I think, yeah, because somebody dropped the ball and not notifying, you know, and they say they sent it out, but do they have proof that they sent it out? You know, can we ask the Department of
yeah,
Cannabis? Say,
we'll clarify that in the record of the hearing, they say it was mailed, but no one I talked to on that block, and I talked to about at least 5 or 6 people, no one had received notice.
and none of the shareholders, stakeholders hadn't said anything about concerns about it or anything too much.
Well,
You
a
know?
couple of them, I mean, they just said they'd rather not have it right there, you know. But there haven't really been, well, one woman said that sometimes there is double parking. I mean, I saw when I was leaving, which by then it was starting to get dark, there was this whole group of adult African American men who, one of them lives in a house on that block. I don't know, they then gathered in the parking lot. And I don't know if they hang out there like a club, or so I don't know if other people are, you know, if it is attracting loitering. I mean, when I passed, this was Tuesday evening. So, you know, it's incumbent on us to kind of go by there from time to time to see what's really happening, because the front door was open. You could see right into the shop. which the last time I was there, which was some months ago, last year, shortly after they'd first opened, they had the door closed, and I think I smelled marijuana. So, which you're not supposed to smoke it. It's not allowed on site, but anyway, so we just have to monitor it and, try to be in touch with the
And maybe, oh, yeah.
with the residents who have those other issues of the trucks. And then also there's always a taco stand on each side of the 115th, right on Vermont Avenue. So one of them is right on the sidewalk in front of the cannabis place. But okay, so does anyone want to make a motion to recommend the letter that really just comments on the process?
I motion that we draft a letter for the motion of about the I can't even think of what to say now, about the letter of our concerns.
Okay, the approval process concerns. Yeah.
Yeah, the approval process of our concerns on the approval process.
Okay, is there a second?
Reluctantly, I second this motion.
Okay. Right, so roll call. Rosalie Preston, yes. Craig Kusunoki,
Yes.
Harvey Powell,
Yes.
Janisha Robinson. Oh, Janisha seems to have left. Angela Springs. Angela, are you still there? And Louetta Watson.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so then moving on just to the last part, we actually have some good news for a change. So the Weingart Willows, they are supposed to finish up everything in July. I noticed the other day they're only just installing some new windows on the Vermont side, kind of that administration part. And the grand opening will be held in the August to September timeframe, and we'll be notified of that. On the Arco gas station, they finally got their approvals yesterday from DWP and building and safety. The last thing is building and safety is making them get a health permit from LA County for their mini mart, even though they're only going to be selling packaged goods. It's just one thing after another.
Oh,
Incredible, yeah. So the owner, Nancy Koskos, had talked with the health department, and they should be getting that resolved by July the 10th. And then she said they can, do testing of everything, and there's something you do with the gasoline pumps to make them ready. And so she thinks that by the last week of July, first week of August, they should finally be open. And then number C, I and who else went to the opening of Isla intersections? That's the supportive housing in the shipping containers that is built on the north side of Imperial Highway at Broadway. So it's not in our neighborhood council area, but it kind of impacts us. It's in the so-called orphan area that's unrepresented by any neighborhood council. So we were there, and yeah, Marvin Bell came. I wasn't able to stay to take the tour, but I have, if we're interested, I have the contacts that we could arrange a tour to see inside. It does have, you know, once they painted the exterior, it looked better, and then they've done really nice landscaping that includes some native plants and lots of different drought-tolerant plantings, so that really adds to it. And it's all it's been leased, I guess, for a while, so. And then on other planning and land use issues, the permit renewal, which is every 5 years for California Waste Services, is coming up. And I contacted the Cal Recycle at the state level to see if someone from their office can come. You know, we can set up a community meeting for the residents of the Rosecrans Park area later in the summer. Lou, did you have a comment?
Yes, I want to talk about the Plan Check Neighborhood Council meeting on June 10th. I would like to report on what took place at that meeting.
Okay.
Okay, now. Okay, it was basically okay, it says we'll lower my hand. Okay, I'll lower it. Basically, it was a roundtable meeting, and really they were the stakeholders that attend were on a roll. Okay, what they had to say were they talked about the city budget. And they say 2,000 City of LA employee positions are unfilled. And the new city budget will not fill them. They will be permanently cut. So we are in big trouble as far as city services are concerned and enforcement. It says city services such as enforcement will be severely lacking because of a lack of staff. They were all talking about that and very concerned because they're not going to fill these positions. We're already being impacted by a lack of services or slow services, but the positions that are unfilled, as they said, they're not going to fill them. 2,000 of them. Okay, and then one of the other items that was talked about was Department of City Planning is guilty of rubber stamping most developments via the incentive bonuses. They are affecting building designs, setbacks, trees, sustainable neighborhoods. They're letting them have these incentives because they're telling them that they're doing all these
that they're going to create affordable housing.
Right. And they said that urban design is a joke because what's going up all over the place, not just in Harbor Gateway or in South Los Angeles, they said are white or other color boxes. There's no articulation or anything. They're letting them get away with whatever they want. And they're saying that the development is developer driven, that the Department of City Planning is taking a hands-off approach to whatever the developers do, whatever they want. Everyone was talking about that on Saturday. And they said that they're allowing them to combine these incentives. which allows them even more lessening of restrictions on them. And this is something that I didn't know, that they said that Mayor Bass was endorsed by Abundant Housing. Abundant Housing is that YIMBY group that wants housing in the backyard, on the side yard, just every place. They want no restrictions. And they said a person that belongs to Abundant Housing is on her staff, which I didn't know. Another thing is that there is an overwhelming disdain for the building department. There were complaints coming from everywhere. They said that there's a lack of enforcement, they're not responsive, and then they have an attitude when they bring something before building and safety. And the other thing was, maybe about 2 months ago, there was a robbery at a depository in Silmar. Do you guys remember that?
Right.
Okay. What they said is that depository is a bank for cannabis money. And they don't know whether the robbers were growers or users. And they said that most banks do not accept cannabis money because of federal laws. But that depository out there in Silmar, it's not a bank.
It's a holding place for all the money. Yeah.
It was robbed.
Right.
They don't know who did it. So,
Well, it was obviously an inside job, so.
you know, well, they said they don't know if it was growers or users, but anyway, those are that were talked about at Plan Check.
Okay.
So we're not alone when we talk about the issues that we have with building and safety, when they don't seem to be engaged with what we're saying, or they're slow about taking.
Well, yeah, right, because even, applicants for like the gas station just run into such hassle. And also similar, Home Assembly Church. I don't know if I mentioned that, but recently I called the secretary because I noticed that there were gaps in their fencing, and I just wanted to make sure she was aware of that, which she was, and actually they'd been there for months. But she told me that, when they bought that building, it was a former warehouse, and they converted the front to their church, and, it's really nice inside. But the back of the building, the western section, they'd always planned to do something, and they finally, they're moving forward on that. And, well, actually, they started 10 years ago. They want to make it into like a hall, that people could rent out for weddings and birthdays and this, that, and the other. And 10 years ago, they submitted plans to Building and Safety. They got the plans stamped, and there was a cover letter that said they'd been approved. Well, somehow over the years, they've lost those original plans with the stamp. And now Building and Safety says that letter of approval is not good enough. And Building and Safety didn't make a copy of their plans, so they want them to redo the plans and resubmit for a stamp. And also there was something else where they'd submitted stuff to them, to Building and Safety, and Building and Safety couldn't understand what they were trying to do, so they had to go down in person to explain to the person at the counter, and she was just beside herself. So I gave her the contact information for Nicholas Chavez and Pamela Thornton, so. they just need to hear this is a real issue. And one other thing I want to mention, talking about building and safety. Remember, well, some of you remember in the past when well, maybe only Lou, when we had the two different 7-Eleven proposals pretty close together. One was for the 7-Eleven on Imperial Highway at Avalon. 7-Eleven at that time they were both represented by Armin Ross, who I don't believe is a developer representative anymore, but I think he retired. But anyway, and also the 7-Eleven on El Segundo at Figueroa. Well, recently I noticed with both of them that the little amount of landscaping they put around the lot, it's not being kept up. They're letting palm tree seeds grow into these big palm trees. You know, they're not keeping the trash out of the landscaping. It just looks awful. They're letting weeds grow. So I reported both of them to building and safety. And for the one on Imperial and Avalon, I looked up the letter of determination, and it had some items in there about the upkeep of the landscaping. So I cited those. I created a Word document so I could copy and paste the wording into the building and safety online reporting and cited that letter. And the one on El Segundo and Figueroa, unfortunately, didn't have such strong language, but on landscaping, but it talked about the trash. And anyway, I have to double check on the El Segundo and Figueroa one, but definitely Brian Christensen, who's often the inspector for our area. On the Imperial Avalon one, he just closed it out and said there wasn't a problem, so I want to call him, but I'm also going to send the information to Pamela Thornton and Nicholas Chavez for some kind of follow-up, because if they are vacant lots that have weeds growing, eventually building and safety makes them clean it up, or else the city does it and bills them for it. So the same thing should happen with the landscaping that makes our community look trashy.
There's another one on El Segundo and over there on the corner, El Segundo and Hoover. That's been reported. It looked like they really do looking horrible over there.
Oh, that vacant lot? Yeah.
No, it's not the vacant lot. It's over at the business over there in the corner. Whoever the owners is not really keeping up, and the people
Oh,
that
you mean
moved in.
the cap store?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So have we reported that to building?
And Nicholas is aware, and also
Okay.
in the media in El Segundo, and they need a sweep over there. They got city street services. They come by here and do the other part. Why can't they just do the little island, with the, cut that
The
up and
sweeper,
then
yeah.
sweep? Yeah.
Well, I just got through telling you what went on at Plan Check.
Right. I understand. Yeah, yeah, but
There's not enough staff, yeah.
Going to get ours. July 1st, I think we're gonna all be crying because
Well, the one good thing is that Councilman McCosker created his clean team, and so they're the ones then are kind of the fallback to take care of
take care of
those weeds. But
I guess what probably have to do have the city purchase weed whackers for the residents, and they go, maybe if they got that much of a shortage.
Yeah, so if we schedule cleanup days, we can more easily take care of it.
What I'm really concerned about is enforcement. We already don't have enough police officers. Just think about DOT. I mean, it's just going to be horrible.
Yeah, all the bandit cars, the cars that's illegally parked, no registration, people parking boats everywhere.
I don't understand, I mean, the lack of staffing. I mean, I know the city in the past, maybe, like in the spring, they were having these job fairs and hiring people on the job and everything. So, I mean, I don't understand why people are not working for the city or the county in these service jobs anymore. I mean, what are they doing? And we're going to really pay for it. If we think it looks horrible now, just think about when we all get a load of when they make the announcement about the city budget and all of the services and all of the departments that have had their staffing cut. Just think about what LA is going to look like. It looks terrible now. It's
And somehow they're gonna have to figure it out because it's only 4 more years until we're hosting the Olympics, and it's gotta look better.
I think the budget's gonna change then. They're gonna put that money back. What they're doing now is probably gonna put it away until the Olympics. And then they say, oh, look what we got here. And then they're gonna do a big old hiring spree, coupled with the Olympic money, and they're gonna really clean the city then. If they can do it.
Okay, then under announcements, I just wanted to mention that Micah Silver unfortunately had to resign from our committee a few weeks ago because he and his family are going to be moving to Japan. But there's one woman in District 4, Rebecca Rodriguez, who's interested to join the committee, and we're still kind of holding Keith's position open to see if he can get stakeholder status again. He finally got an apartment not too far from us in the unincorporated LA County area. Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn our meeting at 8:18 p.m.